In 1963 Berlin, at the height of the Cold War, CIA agent Napoleon Solo extracts Gabi Teller, daughter of Dr. Udo Teller, a missing rocket scientist who once worked with the Nazis but turned to a United States collaborator at the end of World War II. Now, to avoid her father's knowledge getting into the wrong hands, Solo has to find him, and so he asks Gabi to come with him to escape the Russians. The Russians had researched Napoleon's profile, an ex-USA Army sergeant and professional thief who was hired by the CIA for his special skills, and asked to kill him if necessary. But Napoleon just evades KGB agent Illya Kuryakin. Later, Napoleon informs his superior, Sanders, about Gabi's uncle Rudolph, who works in Italy, but Sanders already knows this. The following day, Sanders takes Napoleon to the park to explain a new mission, but KGB agent Kuryakin finds them and attacks Napoleon. But Kuryakin's boss arrives and asks him not to kill his new partner. The two bosses explain the dire situation about Dr. Teller, who is on the verge of making a simplified ingredient for a nuclear bomb, which could cause a global crisis. Sanders also reveals that Gabi's uncle Rudy works in a shipping company owned by Alexander and Victoria Vinciguerra, a wealthy Nazi sympathizer couple who intends to use Teller to build their own private nuclear weapon and give it to the Nazis. Due to the potentially world-ending nature of this crisis, the CIA and KGB have reluctantly teamed up, and Solo and Kuryakin are ordered to stop the Vinciguerras from succeeding, with both men secretly assigned to steal Udo Teller's research for their respective governments. Napoleon, Kuryakin, and Gabi then travel to Italy for the mission, where Gabi and Kuryakin reluctantly pose as an engaged couple and Solo pretends to be an antiquities dealer. Napoleon notices that they are being monitored and instructs Kuryakin not to fight back muggers to preserve their cover as a couple. Though Kuryakin argues that it isn't the Russian way, he doesn't fight when his father's watch is stolen from him, and he has to put aside his bitterness to continue with the mission. The following day, Gabi's uncle Rudy invites them to the 50th year anniversary party of the Vinciguerra shipping business, where Solo and Gabi flirt with Victoria and Alexander to obtain information about Teller, and they also meet Uncle Rudy. Meanwhile, Kuryakin acquires evidence that the Vinciguerras were recently exposed to radiation, indicating that they're making great progress with creating the weapon. Later, Solo and Kuryakin begrudgingly join forces to break into a Vinciguerra shipping yard, and while exploring, they find traces of a uranium. Solo accidentally sets off the alarm and they escape into the water, but the guards pursue them and Kuryakin nearly drowns during the hunt, but Solo returns to save him. Victoria and her men pursue them, but they manage to slip past into their own rooms undetected, and Victoria and Solo later spend the night together. The following day, Gabi meets with Rudy and Alexander to discuss a job, but unexpectedly, Gabi betrays Kuryakin and Solo by revealing their identities as special agents who she used to get to her father. With this information, Victoria then laces Napoleon's drink and he falls unconscious and gets captured while her other men chase Kuryakin. Solo later wakes up tied to an electric chair where Rudy, who explains how he created his torturing devices and reveals himself as an infamous Nazi war criminal, tortures him. However, Kuryakin tracks Solo and arrives just in time to rescue him, and as they torture him, Rudy reveals that the nuclear weapon is hidden in a Vinciguerra private island where Gabi is headed to reunite with her father. While Solo and Kuryakin move aside to discuss what they should do with Rudy, the electric chair malfunctions and causes a fire, which kills him. Gabi arrives at the island and meets her father in a difficult reunion, and Victoria too arrives there. Later, Solo and Kuryakin also travel in a Navy chopper, and their bosses remind them of their main mission, to retrieve Dr. Teller and the computer disk with the research, and their bosses each instruct their agent to kill the other if necessary. Meanwhile, Alexander Waverly, a high-ranking MI6 agent, also surprisingly reveals that Gabi is an undercover agent under his employment, and he asks them to retrieve her too. To protect Gabi, Dr. Teller pretends to resume work on the weapon but intends to sabotage it, but Hawkeye Victoria quickly sees through this deception, and they imprison Gabi as an incentive for Teller to finish the work. Dr. Teller later finishes the work, but Victoria takes the computer research disk from him and kills him. Following this, the Naval Service helps Solo and Kuryakin infiltrate the Vinciguerra's compound, where they find a gone Dr. Teller and Solo retrieves Kuryakin's stolen watch. Alexander Vinciguerra then attempts to escape with Gabby and the warhead, but is intercepted by Kuryakin and gets killed. Solo retrieves the disc with Teller's research, but realizes that the warhead Vinciguerra was taking with him was a non-nuclear secondary missile, and now they have to trace the real one. They also discover that Sergio Vinciguerra, who smuggled Nazis' gold to South America, died 5 years ago, having built Vinciguerra into a large shipping company. The Navy contacts one of Sergio's fishing boats, and Napoleon speaks to Victoria via radio in an attempt to keep her on the line long enough for the Navy's radar to locate her. They launch the warhead as a missile towards her boat, which destroys the boat and all its contents, including the nuclear weapon, and taking Victoria with them. After all this, Kuryakin and Gabby pack to go home, and she apologizes for lying to them and leaves. Kuryakin receives a call from his commander who asks him to steal the research disk from the American agent Solo, and threatens to imprison him in Siberia if he doesn't. Kuryakin then heads to Solo's hotel room, where he finds him packing, and Solo hands him his stolen watch, a move which causes Kuryakin to reveal his assignment, only for Solo to say that he knew, and had the same orders to kill him if necessary. However, the two agents instead share a drink on the terrace and burn the contents of the disc, so as to not give either of their countries the upper hand in the arms race. Meanwhile, they reunite with Gabby and Waverly, who, after consulting their superiors, plans a new mission for the team in Istanbul under a new codename, Uncle, bringing the thrilling film to an end. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel. I'll be back with another interesting movie recap. Until then, take care.